As you can tell by my sweatshirt and probably the title of this video, this is all things physician assistant. I'm going to tell you guys what I did to get in. I got in on the first try of applying, and as we all know, that is usually pretty hard. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just trying to tell you that this is my credibility of sharing what I did with you guys. And also, if you're watching this video, your chances are already much higher to getting into school. And it's not because of me, it's because of you, because you're actually putting in the effort to give yourself the best chance to get in and learn more and immerse yourself into the PA space. I'm gonna stop yapping and just get right into the video of all things PA. A little bit of a background about me is I went to Penn State University. I graduated a semester early and I majored in biobehavioral health. I will tell you guys my stats, but first I'm going to start with telling you guys all of the most common asked questions that I get. Let's chat probably the most important part of your application, one of the most important, it's patient care hours, and everyone wants to know, how do you get them? I worked as a patient care assistant at a local hospital in my town. Now, I did not work while the school year was going on because I decided that I wanted to focus on just my grades, and I'm in a position where I don't need a typical job to afford going to college because I make videos, but not everyone's in that same position. So if you do choose to work all around the school year, great for you, but I think that just working full-time in the summer was enough and would be enough if that's something you're looking to do. There are a ton of ways to get hours. You can be a patient care technician, a patient care assistant, a medical assistant, a physical therapist, like technician. There are so many things. Look them up. They really love when you work in like a physical therapy space, or if you work in a direct hospital setting. Just gives you a lot of skills that you're gonna continue to use. But as long as you're getting hands-on healthcare experience, they do not care how you're getting those hours. Just do not lie about your hours and make sure you're getting as close to a 500 to 1,000 as you can. The more hours you have, the more competitive your application is. Another commonly asked question is, what should you major in for undergrad? You can major in whatever you want. You can literally major in finance if you wanted to. The only thing that you need to make sure you're doing in undergrad is getting your prerequisites. Now, how do you figure out what prereqs you need? You need to look up the schools that you're interested in going to, and they always have a list of prereqs that you must have completed before applying. Something unique about anatomy and physiology classes is those usually have to be done within 5 years of you applying. So if you take them freshman year of college like I did, if I wouldn't have gotten this cycle and had to take a gap year, I would have had to retake anatomy and physiology because it would have been out of the 5-year range. Another huge thing on the PA application that people are constantly debating is, should I get more research hours or should I get more volunteer hours? Let me tell you, having both is amazing. Research is needed for med school, but it's not something you really need to do if you're trying to get into PA school. I did not have any research on my application, and I have tons and tons of friends that also did not have any research on their application. Now, if you find a really good research opportunity, do it. It's not going to hurt your application, but if there's something that you could spend more time doing, such as getting more patient care hours, I would do that over getting research. There are so many parts to the PA application, and shadowing is another big part. This got a little tricky with COVID because some offices aren't allowing students in, this and that. But how I really recommend doing this is cold calling doctors' offices that are around you. Or what I did is I put a message on Facebook, and all the adults that have all these connections, they got me looped in with a PA, and that's how I got my shadowing hours. Another very common question I ask is, what should I be involved in undergrad? Simply being involved in undergrad is so important. I remember one of my questions in my interview was, what did I do to prepare for PA school? And one of the things I said was I was highly involved in many things, and I took 21 credit semesters, or always 18 plus credit semesters. And I really was trying to stimulate PA school and how rigorous and how demanding it is. And they literally loved my response to that. They literally told me. So just be involved in as much as you can, as long as you're able to balance it. Don't worry, I am going to tell you guys interview questions and stuff, but I'm grouping this video into different parts, and the next part that I'm going to tell you guys about are my stats. And I want to disclaim, you guys, This is hard for me to share because I'm not the most smartest, perfect applicant. I think for educational purposes, because I would love if someone would have done this for me, I will share. Just don't compare yourself to me. We are all unique and stand out in our own ways. Let's speed round go through my stats because I don't want to seem like I'm bragging or making you guys feel intimidated or scared. Here are my stats. Patient care experience, I had 891 hours. I did end up getting over 1,000, and I just let these schools know, and I sent updated hour forms, which a lot of them, nearly all of them, let you do that. Volunteering, I did also have over 1,000. I started a nonprofit foundation in high school, and yeah, that's kind of how I also have 1,000 hours of that. My GPA was a 3.71, and I had the minimal amount of shadowing hours. I have 53. You usually have to get at least 50 to apply to most schools. And so I hit 53, and that was what I did. Let's talk about personal statement and how to start writing that. I have edited some, and I am open to helping you guys edit your personal statements. All you have to do is email me and then Instagram message me that you sent the email so that I know to look in my spam just in case it goes there. How did I start writing my personal statement? Okay, so first I did go to a workshop at Penn State that helped you do this, and what he did is he set a 30-minute timer. I'm pretty sure it was 30 minutes. It might have been 15 or 20. Set whatever type of timer long that you want. I just at least make it 15 minutes. Just write. Even if it sounds like you're being so not making any sense, just do it. It was the best thing that I could have done because I had no idea how to start. I have to start somewhere, and it took me 2 months to write my personal statement, so I really recommend starting to write it if you're looking to apply this cycle because it does take a little bit to perfect. I recommend making it a story of your life, but not a sob story. I know a lot of bad, significant life changes can happen to you, but yes, the admissions people panel, they have a heart, but they don't want a sob story. How I organized mine is I first wrote about what brought me to even wanting to be a PA, which was like a story back in my freshman year of high school when I dissected a pig. I know it sounds really crazy, but that is actually what got me interested in anything biology, medical. Then I started to go into what I did to immerse myself into seeing if this was actually something I truly wanted to do. So that is when I talked about my volunteer work, being a patient care assistant. And then I pulled one patient's story from my medical experience and I told all about that. Then after that paragraph, I closed with how shadowing and immersing myself in the physician assistant space led me to specifically wanting to be a PA and not wanting to be a doctor or a nurse practitioner or things like that. Because another thing that I find when I read people's personal statements is it just seems like they want to be in healthcare, but it doesn't really show why they actually chose PA. And how I did this is I just talked about my shadowing experience and what different PAs I shadowed did that stood out to me. And I also really love the collaborative nature of PAs, so I made sure to talk about that. How I got my personal statement to what I felt was perfect for me is I worked with a certified physician assistant. Her name is Jamie. I will put her Instagram right here. She is amazing. She is half the reason I felt confident to apply and not take a gap year. And I truly, truly appreciate what she did for me. You should all reach out to her if you're looking to get connected with a certified physician assistant. Since I'm talking about the personal statement, the next section of this video I want to talk about is the application cycle. And should you take a gap year? Should you not? How do you decide how many schools to apply to? It's a whole long process. And I started preparing September 2023 and I applied May 2024. So it was a long preparal process, and I feel like I was preparing for this moment my entire college career. But when it comes down to it, actually doing things that was going to end up on the application, I did that from September to April. How did I prepare? What I did is I literally created a timeline for myself. I just pulled up the timeline right now. So September, my goal was to fix my resume. My October, my goal was to figure out who was writing my letter of recommendations. In November, I took the GRE. In December, specifically over Christmas break, I decided to shadow PAs and get all of my hours in. In January through February, I wrote my personal statement and I reached out to my letter of recommendation people to tell them that I was going to be applying in April and they should maybe start writing. In March, I created a CASPA account, which is the site that you use to apply for PA school. In April, I reminded my letter of recs again that I'm going to be applying in May, and then in May, I applied. What isn't in there is for all the experiences and activities that you write and all those captions. I did actually end up spending like all of March and April pre-writing all of that, and I had Jamie, the PA I was just talking about, she approved all of my captions that I was going to be writing for them to make sure that my like language of how I was explaining things was correct. And I really thought that was really beneficial. As soon as the application cycle opened, it made it go much faster because I did all of this preparation work before. A common question I get asked is, when did I apply? I applied the end of May, actually, while I was in Barcelona, London, and Paris. I was on a 2-week Europe trip and I applied during all of that. So because I was so organized, I was able to do that. If I wasn't organized, I would have not been able to go on this trip. I did end up applying to 7 or 8 schools. I actually cannot remember. And I ended up getting interviews at 4 of the 7 or 8 schools. And I did 3 of the 4 interviews because I was set on the school that I interviewed the 3rd time around. So I just didn't even want to do the 4th. And then I did also want to tell you guys this. People always ask me, how long did it take for me to hear back? And that was different for every single school. The school that I heard back the quickest was Slippery Rock University. I applied in May and they got back to me in July. That was pretty quick. And then the school that I'm going to applied in May, or no, actually applied in June, didn't hear back until August. Second school that got back to me, they got back to me, I think the end of July or the beginning of August, and my interview was in September or October. I'd say the quickest you'll hear back from them is 2 to 3 months, and then the longest could be till February of the following year. I do have a friend that had an interview the end of February, and he just found out he got into school, and it is March, and school starts in 2 months. So that is definitely possible. Don't get discouraged if it's like been a while and you still haven't heard anything, because you truly could still be getting in. The video is getting long, so I'm going to end it here, and I am going to be doing a part 2 of the interview process, common questions I was asked, how I prepared for the interview, and what I wore, just like everything interview. But I hope this was helpful, and good luck to anyone applying. I know this is very scary, but try not to self-destruct too much. If you get in, you get in. If you don't, you don't, and you try again the next year. It's not the end of the world, even though it does seem like it would be. And you got this. DM me, message me on all of the platforms that I'm on, and I'm willing to help in any way I can. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for part 2.